Prologue. In the heart of the Moonstone Pack territory, where the forest whispered secrets to the wind, a curse lingered. It was ancient, cruel, and bound by blood and betrayal. The alpha of the pack, Cale Blackthorn, bore it like a silent wound, one that would only be healed by his destined mate. But fate had a twisted sense of humor. Written by Max. The great hall of the Moonstone Pack was bathed in the cold silver glow of the full moon, filtering through the tall, arched windows like liquid light. Wolves of every rank and clan had gathered, alphas, betas, warriors, and omegas alike, to witness a sacred event held only once a generation, the mating ceremony. Tonight, under the watchful eyes of the moon goddess, the alpha would claim his fated mate, a bond so ancient and unbreakable that it shaped the destiny of not just two souls, but the entire pack. Arya Storm sat quietly near the back of the hall, clutching the edges of her simple cloak. She was an Omega, born on the outskirts of the Packlands, daughter of a disgraced warrior whose honor had been stripped away years before. No one expected anything from her, and she had grown used to that, invisible and overlooked. But tonight, the air inside her chest pulsed with something unfamiliar and electric. She glanced toward the front of the hall where Alpha Cale Blackthorn stood. His presence was as commanding as the mountain storms, broad shoulders, jet black hair, and eyes so piercing they seemed to cut through shadow. He was the strongest alpha the pack had seen in decades. When Cale's gaze suddenly met hers across the crowd, everything changed. A spark, sharp and wild, ignited deep within Arya. Her wolf rose inside her like a fierce tide, crying out in recognition. She was his mate. It was written in the stars, carved into the very air around them. Her breath hitched. The hall seemed to hold its collective breath. But then, as if the world itself tilted, Cale's expression shifted. Confusion flickered briefly, then hardened into something cold and unyielding. "No," he said, voice low but sharp enough to cut glass. The room fell silent. Arya's heart shattered, splintering like broken glass. "You feel it too. The bond." Her voice trembled. Cale stepped forward but stopped short, not reaching for her. "I reject you," he said, voice icy. "You are not my mate." A gasp rose from the crowd. Whispers like shadows brushed over her skin. "Why?" she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. "Because you are an Omega, weak and unworthy of me." "The moon goddess made a mistake," Kyle said, voice firm. "I will never accept you as my Luna." The weight of his rejection crushed her lungs. Her wolf whimpered inside, her spirit bleeding. She swallowed hard, refusing to break. "Then I accept your rejection," she said quietly. Cale turned his back and strode away, his heavy boots echoing like thunder in the stunned silence. Alone, in the sea of turned faces, Arya felt invisible once more, rejected, forgotten. Yet, beneath her pain, something stirred, a fierce, burning ember deep within her blood, something ancient and powerful waiting to awaken. The rejection still echoed in Arya's mind as she wandered the packhouse grounds under the cold light of the moon. Her breath rose in pale clouds, and her fingers clenched into fists as the bitter wind whipped through her hair. Cale's words haunted her. "You are weak. The moon goddess made a mistake." She could feel her wolf's desperate cries inside, her, raw and wounded. The bond, the one thing she had hoped would change everything, had been shattered before it could even bloom. Yet something deeper tugged at her spirit, a whisper she couldn't ignore. She was no ordinary Omega. Far from. It back in the shadows of the council chamber, the elders whispered in hushed tones. The pack's priestess, Selene, had been watching Arya for weeks, her knowing eyes filled with concern, and something else. Hope. After the ceremony ended and the crowd dispersed, Selene sought Arya out in the quiet of the pack's herb garden. "You must come with me," Selene said gently, reaching for Arya's trembling hand. "What? Why?" Arya asked, unsure. "The bond you share with Chaol is real," Selene explained softly, "but it is cursed." Arya's brows knitted. "Cursed? How?" "The bloodline of your Alpha carries a dark legacy," Selene said, her voice lowering. "A curse placed centuries ago by a rival pack's witch. Every mate the Alpha takes is doomed, drained of life, cursed to fade away." Arya felt the air leave her lungs. "So, this is why he rejected me? Because I'm supposed to die?" Selene nodded. "He fears the curse will take you. That is why he turned away." "But I am no ordinary Omega," Arya said fiercely. "I feel power inside me, something beyond this world." Selene smiled faintly. "You carry the Moonblood lineage, child. The last of a sacred bloodline gifted with healing magic. The power to break the curse that binds Chaol's fate." Arya's eyes widened. "But if that's true, why have I never felt it before?" "Because your gift was hidden, sealed to protect you and the pack. Now, with the bond forced, your powers awaken." Arya's heart thundered. "Then I'm the only hope for Chaol, for the pack." Selene nodded gravely. "But the path ahead will be perilous. The curse is dark and powerful. Your enemies are not. Just outside the pack. They live within it." Arya swallowed hard, the weight of destiny pressing down on her shoulders. She was rejected, scorned, and alone. But if she could heal Chaol and break the curse, maybe she could also reclaim her place in the pack, and maybe, just maybe, she could make Chaol see her not as a weak Omega, but as the mate he was meant to have. The moon hung low and full, its silver light casting a shimmering glow over the forest that skirted the edges of the Moonstone Packlands. Arya Storm moved quietly among the ancient oaks and whispering pines, her breath steady but her heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. She had not slept since the mating ceremony, where the Alpha had rejected her so coldly in front of the entire pack. Her wolf still howled in pain, craving the connection that had been so violently denied. But now, Selene's words echoed in her mind. "You carry the power to break the curse. You are not weak." Arya clutched the amulet the priestess had given her, a crescent moon carved from silver, cold and smooth in her palm. It pulsed faintly with energy, an echo of the magic sleeping within her. "Show me," she whispered to the night. The forest around her seemed to still, the rustling leaves hush as if listening. Closing her eyes, Arya called deep into herself, searching for the spark Selene promised. A sudden warmth spread through her chest. Her fingers tingled, and the cold night air shifted, growing softer. Tentatively, Arya raised her hands, palms outward. A faint, shimmering light flowed from her, fingertips like liquid silver. The glow grew, bathing the surrounding trees in a soft luminescence. Her breath caught. The magic was real, but it was raw, wild, and untamed. Suddenly, a sharp bark shattered the silence. Arya spun around, eyes wide. A lone wolf emerged from the shadows, its fur black as midnight, eyes glowing with an eerie blue fire. "Chaol." He stepped out, silent and commanding, but his expression was unreadable. "You shouldn't be out here alone," Chaol said, voice low. Arya's heart leapt painfully. "I had to see if it was real. The power I feel. It's inside me." Chaol's wolf form shimmered briefly at his side, a majestic beast with scars and shadows in its gaze. "You were rejected. You should stay safe." "I'm not weak," Arya said, voice firm despite the trembling inside. "I'm your mate. The bond is real." Kale's eyes flickered with conflict. "I rejected the bond to protect you. Or protect yourself," she replied softly. The tension between them crackled like static. Kale stepped closer, his wolf snarling low, but his human eyes softened just enough to show the battle within. "You don't understand the curse. It will consume you." "Maybe," Arya said, "but I'd rather face that than live in your shadow, ignored and cast aside." For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Kale nodded slowly. "If you're truly the Moonblood, you carry the power to break the curse. Then help me learn to control it," Arya pleaded. "Before it's too late." Kale's lips pressed into a thin line. "You have until the next full moon to master your gift. If you fail, the curse will take us both." Arya swallowed the fear rising in her throat. "I won't fail." The days that followed were filled with pain and discovery. Arya trained with Selene in secret, the priestess guiding her through ancient rites and magic lost to time. Arya's powers grew. She could heal wounds with a touch, calm the savage wolf inside her, and even glimpse moments of the future in fleeting visions. But with every success came exhaustion, and the ever-present shadow of the curse weighed heavier on her. Meanwhile, Kale struggled with his own torment. He was a warrior born to lead, but shackled by fear and guilt. Rejecting Arya had been his only defense against losing her, yet it had only driven a deeper wedge between them. His nights were haunted by dreams of her face, soft, defiant, aching. 1. Evening, as a storm raged outside, Kale sat alone in his chamber. The howl of the wind was drowned by a deeper howl rising in his chest, the wolf inside him desperate for the mate he had pushed away. He clenched his fists. "I'm a monster," he muttered, "a curse wrapped in flesh. If I accept her, I doom her." But a softer voice echoed deep inside, one he had tried to silence for years. "You don't have to be alone." 1 week before the next full moon, the pack was attacked. A rival clan, the Shadowfangs, struck at the borders, testing Moonstone's strength. Kale led the warriors into battle, but the fight was brutal and unforgiving. When Arya heard the commotion, her wolf surged forward despite her fears. She raced through the chaos, her hands glowing with silver light, weaving between fighting wolves to reach the wounded. She found Kale pinned beneath a fallen branch, bleeding heavily. Kneeling beside him, Arya pressed her hands against his chest. Her magic flared, warm and fierce, knitting torn muscles and sealing wounds. Kale's eyes fluttered open, and when he saw her, the fight inside him faltered. "You saved me," he breathed. Arya smiled weakly. "I'm your mate. I'm not going anywhere." That night, as the moon rose full and bright, Arya and Kale stood side by side on the cliffs overlooking the Packlands. The bond between them throbbed stronger than ever, no longer denied, no longer broken. Kale reached out, his hand trembling, as it found hers. "Show me who you are, Arya," he said quietly. "I'm the Moonblood," she replied, "and I will break your curse, for both of us." The wind carried their whispered vows as the moon watched silently above, a silent witness to a love born in shadows and forged by fate. The dawn crept quietly over the Moonstone Packlands, painting the sky in hues of pale gold and soft pink. But beneath the calm light, the pack was anything but peaceful. Whispers curled through the great hall like smoke, carrying rumors and unease. The attack by the Shadowfangs had left scars, physical and unseen. The pack's strength had been tested, and tension simmered dangerously close to the surface. Arya Storm walked through the corridors with cautious steps. Her powers were growing stronger, but so was the feeling that something within the pack was watching her, judging her. Her wolf snarled low in warning whenever she sensed eyes on her back, but every time she turned, she found only hollow stares or cold indifference. Kale was no different, though he had begun to accept her as his mate, his cold eyes still betrayed the weight of the curse and the secrets he held tightly. "Aria," a voice whispered behind her. She turned sharply, heart pounding. It was Riker, Cale's beta, a tall man with sharp features and calculating eyes. "Come with me," he said quietly, glancing around as if fearing unseen ears. They slipped through a side door leading to the council chambers where the other elders waited in grim silence. Cale was already there, standing rigid, the Alpha's commanding presence filling the room. "We have a problem," Cale said without preamble. Riker nodded. "There's unrest among the pack. Some question the Alpha's choice, or rather, his rejection." An elder woman, Mistress Leora, leaned forward. "Some say the moon goddesses." Will was clear that the bond was never meant to be. Aria's skin prickled with anger. "I am the moon blood," she said firmly. "The bond is real, and I will prove my worth." Kyle's gaze flickered to her, a silent acknowledgement, but Riker's voice was cold. "Proving yourself is not enough. There are those who would see you destroyed rather than accepted." Aria's heart raced. She had expected enemies outside the pack, but enemies inside? That was a darkness she had not yet faced. Cale sighed deeply. "The curse has made us weak in the eyes of many. They fear what they do not understand." Mistress Leora's eyes narrowed. "And some fear what you might do if you break the curse. Power like yours, magic born of ancient blood, can corrupt." Aria stepped forward, her voice steady. "My magic is not a weapon to destroy the pack. It is a gift to heal and protect." Cale placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. "But trust must be earned," he said quietly. Later that evening, as the pack gathered for the weekly council meeting, Aria found herself surrounded by hostile glances. She could feel the poison of doubt creeping into even Cale's closest allies. During the meeting, Cale stood and addressed the pack. "We are stronger together," he declared. "The curse that binds me will be broken by Aria, my mate, and with it, we will usher in a new era for Moonstone." Murmurs erupted, some supportive, others skeptical. From the shadows, a figure watched with keen interest. Lena, a cunning alpha-in-waiting from a rival pack, smiled thinly. "This bond will shatter before the next full moon." After the meeting, Aria returned to the herb garden, where Selene awaited her. "You have stirred the pack," Selene said softly. "Not all in a good way," Aria replied. Selene's eyes were sad. "Fear is a powerful poison. It clouds reason and breeds division." Aria nodded. "I must be stronger, not just for Cale, but for the pack." Selene placed a hand over Aria's heart. "Your magic will grow, but so will the darkness that seeks to consume it." Aria closed her eyes, drawing strength from the moonlight. "I am ready," she whispered. As the night deepened, Kyle stood on the cliffs, staring into the horizon. His wolf prowled beside him, restless and uneasy. He knew the path ahead would test them all: love, loyalty, and survival. But he would fight for Aria, for the bond fate had forged. Because in her eyes, he saw a future worth risking everything. The morning sun was just beginning to stretch its golden fingers across the moonstone. Packlands when Aria awoke, her body heavy but her mind sharp with resolve. Today was no ordinary day. It was the day she would face the trial of shadows, the ancient rite by which the pack tested the worthiness of those who sought acceptance, especially in times of uncertainty. The trial was a brutal test of strength, wit, and spirit. Many before her had failed, cast out or worse, lost to the darkness lurking in the depths of the forest. For Aria, the stakes were higher than ever. This was not just about proving herself to the pack, but about confronting the curse that had plagued Cale's bloodline for generations. Her heart thudded unevenly as she approached the stone altar in the center of the sacred glade, the air thick, with the scent of pine and earth. Around her the pack had gathered, silent and expectant, their eyes flickering between hope and doubt. Kale stood at the front, his expression unreadable, the wolf inside him restless beneath his skin. Selene, the priestess, stepped forward, her voice clear and commanding. The trial of shadows will test your bond, your power, and your courage. Only those who face their deepest fears and conquer the darkness within will emerge worthy. Arya nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. She could feel the magic. Within her stirring, wild and eager, but unrefined. This was her moment, to seize control or lose everything. The ritual began with the lighting of the silver flame, a mystical fire that burned cold yet bright, illuminating the path into the Forest of Whispers, a place rumored to be haunted by ancient spirits and lurking predators. "You must walk alone," Selene said, "guided only by your instincts and the power of your bond." With a final look at Kyle, who gave a brief nod of encouragement, Arya stepped into the shadows beneath the towering trees. The forest swallowed her like a living thing. Every step forward felt heavier, the darkness pressing in from all sides. The whispers of the trees seemed to twist into voices, voices of past pack members, warnings and curses blending into a haunting chorus. Arya's pulse quickened, her hands trembled, but she forced herself to focus on the silver amulet around her neck, its pulse syncing with her heartbeat. The moonblood magic was alive inside her, a beacon in the darkness. Suddenly, a shadow flickered at the edge of her vision. A large wolf, eyes glowing red, snarling as it lunged. Arya barely had time to react before she was face to face with the beast. Summoning every ounce of courage, she raised her hands and let the silver light pour forth, bathing the wolf in a radiant glow. The creature recoiled, howling in pain before vanishing into the mist. A shiver ran down Arya's spine. The first trial had been survival against the shadow wolf, a manifestation of her deepest fear, rejection and isolation. Pressing on, she felt the forest grow colder, the whispers more urgent. Then came the second trial, the mirror of truth. A pool of still water appeared before her, reflecting not her physical form, but the turmoil within her soul. She saw herself as others, saw her, weak, unwanted, a rejected mate unworthy of the Alpha's love. Tears welled in her eyes, but Arya clenched her jaw. "No," she whispered fiercely, "I am not who they say I am." The surface rippled, revealing instead a vision of her true self, the Moonblood, the healer, the mate who would break the curse and bring new strength to the pack. The reflection shimmered and solidified into an image of Kale, his eyes softening, the bond between them glowing brighter. Arya's heart swelled with renewed determination. But the final trial awaited, the trial of unity. As she moved forward, the trees parted to reveal a circle of shadowy figures, the elders of the pack, their faces obscured by hoods. "You must stand before them," a voice intoned, "and declare your loyalty to the pack and to the bond that unites you with the Alpha." Arya stepped into the circle, meeting each elder's gaze. "I am Arya Storm," she declared, voice strong and clear. "I am the Moon Blood, bearer of ancient power and healer of our curse. I pledge my loyalty to the Moonstone Pack and to Kale, my mate and Alpha. Together, we will break the darkness that binds us." The elders murmured among themselves, the tension palpable. Then Selene stepped forward, lifting her hood to reveal a smile that was both proud and relieved. "The trials have been passed," Selene proclaimed. "Arya Storm is accepted as mate of the Alpha and protector of the pack." A cheer erupted from the assembled pack members, though pockets of dissent remained. Arya felt a hand close over hers, strong, warm. Kale's voice was low and steady. "You have proven yourself, not just to the pack, but to me." For the first time, his gaze held no shadows, only trust. As they left the glade, the moon above seemed to shine brighter, casting a silver path forward. Yet, even as Arya basked in the glow of victory, a dark presence watched from the edge of the forest, a sinister force that would not rest until the curse remained unbroken and the Alpha's rejected mate was destroyed. The Moonstone Pack was never truly silent. Even in the calm moments after the trial of shadows, a restless energy hummed beneath the surface like a gathering storm. Arya stood on the edge of the cliff overlooking the valley below, the wind tugging at her dark hair, as she watched the pack members move like shadows through the misty forest. The early morning fog clung to the trees, and the scent of pine and earth filled the air, grounding her in the moment. Beside her, Kale's presence was steady and solid, a rock in the shifting tides of uncertainty. "We must prepare," Kale said quietly. "The Shadowfangs will not forget their defeat so easily. They'll come for us again, and when they do, they won't hold back." Arya nodded, her fingers tightening around the silver amulet at her throat. "I feel it too," she admitted. "The darkness is growing, not just from them, but from within." Kale's eyes darkened. "The pack is divided," he said. "Some still doubt you. Some even question me." Arya's heart clenched at the thought. The fragile unity forged by the trial was already cracking under the weight of old fears and new threats. That evening, the great hall buzzed with tension. The elders gathered for a council meeting called by Kale, a rare occurrence signaling the seriousness of the situation. Arya stood quietly at Kale's side as he addressed the room. "We face enemies on all sides," Kale said, voice deep and commanding. "The Shadowfangs will strike again, and we must be ready, but more dangerous is the unrest among us." An elder named Torin, a burly man with a scarred face, grunted. "The pack will follow the strongest Alpha," Torin said. "If the mate cannot prove her strength, she will be cast out. That's the way of the pack." Arya felt the weight of his words like a blow. Kale's eyes flashed with warning. "This pack is not ruled by fear," he said firmly. "It is ruled by loyalty, loyalty to each other and to the bond that holds us together." Leora, the elder, who had once doubted Arya, nodded slowly. "The trial of shadows has passed," she said. "Perhaps it is time to put aside old grudges and unite." But the murmurs in the room told a different story. Not everyone was convinced. After the meeting, Arya found herself alone in the herb garden, where Selene was preparing potions under the glow of lantern light. "The pack's distrust runs deep," Selene said softly. "Old wounds are slow to heal." Arya sighed. "I thought the trial would change things." "It has," Selene replied, "but change is a slow flame. It must be nurtured or it will flicker and die." Arya looked up at the stars, seeking strength from their cold light. "We need allies," she said, "inside and outside the pack." Selene nodded. "There are others who may help, ancient beings tied to the Moonblood magic, but reaching them is dangerous." Arya's resolve hardened. "I will find them," she said. The next morning, Kale and Arya set out to visit the nearby packs, seeking alliances. Their first stop was the Blackthorn Pack, a fierce group known for their warriors and strict codes. Kale's reputation as a cursed alpha preceded him, and the Blackthorn leaders greeted them with suspicion. "I hear your mate is a sorceress," the Blackthorn alpha sneered. "Magic weakens the bloodline." Kale's jaw tightened. "Magic saves us, and Arya is the bond that will break this curse." The alpha laughed coldly. "We shall see." Despite the chilly reception, Arya stood her ground, showing glimpses of her magic in subtle ways, healing a wounded wolf pup, sensing danger before it came. Slowly, some of the Blackthorn began to listen. As days passed, news came that the Shadowfangs were indeed mobilizing, rallying under a new, more brutal leader determined to crush Moonstone once and for all. Back at the Moonstone lands, the tension became unbearable. One night, as Arya practiced her magic beneath the moonlight, a figure stepped from the shadows. Lena, the cunning Alpha-in-Waiting, from the rival pack. "I see you survived the trial," she said, her voice dripping with mockery. Arya narrowed her eyes. "You'll never break us," she said. Lena smiled coldly. "You misunderstand. I don't want to break you. I want to control the pack, and you're the key." Arya's heart raced. "What do you want from me?" Lena's eyes gleamed. "Join me, or watch your pack fall apart." Before Arya could answer, Lena vanished into the night, leaving a promise of war hanging heavy in the air. The days ahead would test everything: their bond, their strength, and their will to survive. For the Alpha's rejected mate, the true battle was only beginning. The dawn broke cold and gray over the Moonstone territory, the chill seeping into bones and souls alike. Since the encounter with Lena, the shadow of war had crept deeper into every corner of the pack. Arya could feel it in the restless murmurs of the pack members, in the way eyes darted suspiciously, in the tightened fists of warriors preparing for battle. Yet the most dangerous threat wasn't just outside the borders, it was growing from within. Chaol sat across from Arya in the small strategy room deep beneath the Alpha's den. Maps of the surrounding territories were spread across the wooden table, marked with symbols denoting enemy movements and possible ambush points. "The Shadowfangs have allied with the Blackthorn's disgruntled factions," Chaol said, his voice low but fierce. "They're planning coordinated strikes at our supply routes. If they succeed, we'll be cut off and vulnerable." Arya's fingers traced the lines on the map. "We have to act fast." Kyle's eyes flicked to hers, dark and searching. "There's more." She waited. "There's talk among the pack. Whispers of betrayal. Someone feeding information to our enemies." Arya's heart lurched. Betrayal had always been a poison lurking in the undercurrents of pack politics. But now it was. "Personal. Do you suspect anyone?" she asked. Coyle hesitated, then nodded slowly. "A few, but no proof yet." Arya's gaze hardened. "We need to find the traitor before the pack tears itself apart." The days that followed were a storm of paranoia and accusations. Trust became a fragile thread, easily snapped by fear. Arya took it upon herself to investigate discreetly, using her moonblood magic to sense hidden emotions and secrets. But the more she searched, the more tangled the web became. One evening, as she wandered near the training grounds, she overheard a heated conversation. "I told you, the Alpha's mate is weak," a gruff voice hissed. "She's the reason we're losing ground. If she's gone, maybe the pack will follow Chaol again." Arya stepped into the light, eyes blazing. "Speak your mind openly," she challenged. The man, a warrior named Rylan, sneered but didn't back down. "You're an outsider, a sorceress pretending to be one of us. The pack doesn't want magic. It wants strength." Arya's pulse quickened. This was the venom that could destroy them all. Chaol arrived just then, his presence commanding silence. "Rylan," Chaol said sharply, "you will stand down and swear loyalty to the pack, or face exile." Rylan spat on the ground but nodded. "For now." Later that night, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The camp was unusually quiet, and the moon hung high, casting long shadows. Her instincts prickled. Suddenly, a scream shattered the stillness. She raced toward the source, Chaol close behind her. They found smoke rising from the eastern supply tents, flames licking the night sky, wolves scrambling to save what they could. "Sabotage!" Chaol growled. Arya's heart sank. The traitor had struck. As the pack fought the fire, Arya's magic flared, weaving a shield of water and wind to contain the blaze. But her mind was elsewhere, racing through faces, motives, secrets. Who could do this? The next morning, the elders convened in urgent session. "Whoever is behind this will be hunted down," Selena vowed, her voice like steel. Cale's eyes met Arya's. "We must act swiftly." Arya nodded. "I'll use my magic to track the fire's origin. There must be traces." As she closed her eyes and reached deep into the magic that flowed through her veins, images flickered, a shadow slipping through the night, a faint scent of betrayal mixed with the smell of smoke. Her senses sharpened, leading her toward the edge of the forest. There, half buried beneath a pile of scorched leaves, she found a small charm, a symbol of the Shadow Fangs. It was a message and a warning. The war was no longer just a threat. It was reality. Back at the camp, Cale and Arya convened their closest allies. "We have to prepare for an all-out assault," Cale said grimly. "The Shadow Fangs will try to break us by force." Arya looked around the circle. Trusted warriors, the elders, Selene, and even some tentative allies from the Blackthorn pack. "We also have to root out the traitor," Arya added. "Someone close to us is selling our secrets." Leora, the elder who had once doubted Arya, spoke up. "There is one among the council who has been acting suspiciously," she said cautiously. Cale's gaze sharpened. "Name them." Leora hesitated, then said, "Darian." A hush fell over the room. Darian was one of Cale's most trusted advisors, calm, intelligent, and respected. Cale's jaw tightened. "We will confront him." That night, Cale and Arya confronted Darian in the shadows of the den. "You've been feeding information to the Shadowfangs," Cale accused. Darian's eyes flickered with guilt, then desperation. "I did it to protect the pack," he said quietly. "If they destroy us, I wanted to buy time." Arya stepped forward, fury and pity tangled in her voice. "Betrayal only breeds more pain," she said. "If you truly care for the pack, you'll help us fight, not tear us apart." Darian lowered his gaze. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Kyle made his decision swiftly. "You will be watched closely. Any further betrayal, and you will answer to the pack." As dawn broke, Arya stood beside Cale once more, the weight of betrayal heavy on both their shoulders. But their bond was stronger than ever, forged in fire and shadow, tested by lies and love. Together, they would face the coming storm. The sun rose over Moonstone territory, casting long shadows through the ancient trees, but the light did little to chase away the dark cloud looming over the pack. The fire that had consumed the supply tents was still fresh in everyone's minds, a brutal reminder that the enemy was closer than ever. And, worse still, the threat of betrayal still festered inside their very walls. Arya awoke to the sharp cry of a wolf at the edge of camp. She rubbed her eyes, the weight of the previous night heavy on her chest. Cale was already up, pacing near the entrance to the den, his expression taut with worry. "We can't afford to lose more time," Cale said without looking at her. "The Shadow Fangs are growing bolder. They know we're weak from within." Arya sat up, her mind already racing. "I want to speak with the pack's elders today," she said firmly. "It's time they understood the full extent of what we face, both outside and inside." Cale nodded. "I'll stand with you." The council chamber was chilly, the air thick with tension. Elders, warriors, and key pack members filled the room, their faces drawn and guarded. Arya took a deep breath and began. "The Shadow Fangs are preparing for a full assault. But what's more dangerous is the betrayal within. Darian has admitted to feeding them information." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, some faces hardening with anger, others with disbelief. Leora spoke again, her voice steady. "Betrayal comes from fear and desperation, but it also reveals cracks in our foundation. If we are to survive, we must heal those cracks. Torin, the scarred elder who had openly opposed Arya before, slammed his fist on the table. Healing won't save us. We need strength. We need to root out traitors and deal with them swiftly. Chaol raised a hand. Strength without unity is hollow. We need to stand as one, or we will fall divided. Arya's eyes scanned the room. She could feel the pack's fragile loyalty teetering on the edge of collapse. Later, Arya met with Selene in the herb garden, hoping to find some clarity in the quiet sanctuary. "The blood ties run deep," Selene said softly, stirring a mixture of herbs and crushed roots in a mortar. "You and Chaol share more than a mate bond. The moonblood magic flows through your veins. It connects you to the past and to the pack's future." Arya looked down at her hands. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm meant to be here at all, if I'm strong enough to hold this pack together." Selene smiled gently. "The destiny of the pack was written in your blood long before you were born, but power alone is not enough. It's your heart, your choices, that will shape what happens next." That night, Arya was restless. The encounter with Lena haunted her thoughts. That chilling offer to join the enemy, to surrender her loyalty for control. It was an invitation filled with poison. Chaol found her on the balcony overlooking the forest, the moon a silver sliver in the night sky. "Thinking about Lena?" he asked quietly. Arya nodded. "She's dangerous, but more than that, I think she's trying to use the pack's fear against us." Chaol came to stand beside her, his warmth steady and reassuring. "Fear is a weapon. We must not let it cut us down." She turned to him, searching his face. "Do you trust me?" Chaol smiled, though his eyes were serious. "With my life." The following days brought no respite. Rumors of dissent spread like wildfire. Some pack members whispered that Arya's magic was a curse, that her presence angered the old spirits. Others feared Chaol's curse would doom them all. Arya felt the weight of every glance, every whispered word. But then a new threat surfaced. When she hadn't anticipated, one of the younger warriors, Jackson, approached her cautiously during training. I have to tell you something," he said, voice low. "It's about Darian." Arya's pulse quickened. "Go on." Jackson swallowed hard. "Darian's been meeting with someone in secret. I don't know who, but it's not the Shadowfangs." Arya frowned. "Not the Shadowfangs? Then who?" Jackson shook his head. "I don't know, but I saw the mark he wears, a symbol older than any pack." Her mind raced. Was there a third player in this dangerous game? An ancient power that neither Moonstone nor Shadowfangs understood? That night, Arya confronted Darian alone. "Who have you been meeting?" she demanded, the firelight casting flickering shadows on his face. Darian's eyes flickered with fear. "I can't tell you." "Why not?" Arya pressed. "Because if I do, you'll kill me," he said, voice trembling. Arya's anger flared. "You betray the pack, and you fear me? Then you don't understand what it means to protect it." Darian's resolve broke. "I'm trying to protect us from something worse." Arya's heart pounded. "Worse than the Shadowfangs?" He nodded. "Yes, an ancient curse tied to the moonblood magic, one that could destroy us all." The revelation sent shockwaves through Arya. The battle wasn't just against the rival packs, it was against forces buried deep in their bloodline. Forces that could unravel everything she held dear. Chaol's presence was a steady anchor as they prepared to face what came next. Together, they would have to navigate a path through betrayal, ancient curses, and their own fears. The future of the Moonstone Pack hung in the balance, and only their bond could save it from breaking. The weight of Darian's confession pressed heavily on Arya's mind. An ancient curse intertwined with moonblood magic, powerful enough to destroy the pack. It was a shadow stretching across centuries, dark and unforgiving. And now, the faintest stirrings of that curse were waking. She sat alone in the quiet of the den's inner chamber, the flickering firelight dancing across ancient symbols etched into the stone walls. Chaol entered silently, his presence a steady calm amid the storm. "You're still awake," he said softly. Arya looked up, meeting his dark eyes. "I can't sleep. Not with this curse hanging over us." Kyle sat beside her, leaning close. "Tell me what you know." She recounted Darian's words, the secret meetings, and the symbol Jackson had seen. Chaol's brow furrowed. "A symbol older than any pack. That means the ancients." Arya nodded. "Yes, the original Moonbloods. Their magic is powerful but dangerous. If it's tied to this curse, we have to find out why." Chaol reached for her hand. "Then we'll face it together. No matter what." The next day, Arya and Chaol sought out Leora, the elder who had first warned them of the traitor. Leora's face was grave as she listened. The ancients were the first werewolves, those who forged the bonds between magic and pack, but their power came at a cost. They sealed away a darkness, a curse that could consume the bloodline. Arya's heart pounded. "And you think that curse is awakening now?" Leora nodded slowly. "It's possible, especially with the unrest among the packs and the betrayal within. The balance is fragile." Chaol's fists clenched. "How do we stop it?" "The seals must be renewed," Leora said. "But the ritual requires a pure connection to the Moonblood magic, a bond between the alpha and his mate." Arya swallowed. "That means us." That night, under a blood-red moon, Arya and Chaol prepared for the ritual. The camp was quiet, tension hanging like a thick fog. Only the elders and closest allies gathered around the ancient stone altar deep in the forest. Selene began chanting in the old language, her voice weaving through the trees like a haunting melody. Arya felt the magic stirring in her veins, cold and fierce. Chaol's hand found hers, grounding her as the ritual progressed. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the clearing. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward. "Lena, you really think this ritual will save you?" she sneered. "You're all fools clinging to old magic while the world moves on." Chaol stepped protectively in front of Arya. "Leave now, or face the pack's wrath." Lena laughed darkly. "I'm not here to fight, not yet, but no, this. The curse you fear is only the beginning. Greater darkness is coming, and when it arrives, your precious bond won't save you." With that, she vanished into the night, leaving a cold dread in her wake. The ritual continued, but the warning echoed in their minds. When the final words were spoken, a burst of light shattered the darkness. The seals renewed, the curse held. At bay. For now, Arya and Chaol collapsed together, exhaustion and relief washing over them. But the battle was far from over. Days later, the pack faced fresh attacks from the Shadowfangs. But, with the renewed bond and ritual's protection, they fought harder, fiercer. Still, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that Lena's warning was more than empty threat. There were shadows yet to face, secrets yet to uncover, and a destiny far greater than either of them had imagined. The cold dawn seeped through the cracks in the den walls, casting pale light over Arya's restless face. The ritual had lifted a weight from the pack, but the tension remained. The warning Lena had left echoed in her mind like a storm on the horizon, an unrelenting threat she couldn't ignore. Chaol was already awake, seated near the fire with his eyes closed, as if drawing strength from the flickering flames. When he sensed her presence, he opened his eyes and gave a faint smile. "Did you sleep?" he asked quietly. Arya shook her head. "No. I keep thinking about what Lena said. Greater darkness is coming. What could be worse than the curse? Kyle's expression hardened. Whatever it is, we face it together. We have to. The morning brought an uneasy calm. As the pack gathered for training, whispers filled the air about the battle ahead, but also about the mysterious mark Darien had been seen bearing, the one older than any pack symbol. Arya was drawn to Jackson, the young warrior who had first alerted her to the secret meetings. He was standing apart from the others, his face troubled. "Jackson," Arya called softly. He looked up, startled. "Arya, I didn't expect you to come. I need to know more about the mark you saw. What did it look like?" Jackson hesitated. It was like a circle, with sharp lines crossing inside, almost like runes. It wasn't any pack symbol I've seen. It looked ancient, like something from the old stories. Arya's mind raced. "Do you know who wore it?" Jackson nodded slowly. "Darien. But I think he's hiding something else. Something he's afraid to admit." That evening, Arya and Kale sought Darien out in the training grounds. "You've been hiding more than just meetings," Arya said firmly. Darien's eyes flickered with unease. "I'm trying to protect the pack." "By betraying us?" Kale's voice was cold. Darien swallowed hard. "The mark you asked about, it's the symbol of the Forsaken, a secret order from the ancients who opposed the Moonblood Pact. They believed magic should be free, uncontrolled." Arya's pulse quickened. "And what does that mean for us?" "It means they want to break the seal on the curse," Darien said grimly. "They believe chaos will bring new power, but the cost is our destruction." Kale's fists clenched. "Then we stop them, no matter what." That night, a strange sensation woke Arya, a tingling in her palm, as if something beneath her skin was stirring. She stared down and gasped. There, glowing faintly in the moonlight, was a new mark, the same symbol Jackson had described, etched onto her skin like an ancient tattoo. Kale was at her side instantly. "What is it?" Arya shook her head, awe and fear mingling. "I don't know, but it's tied to the curse, to the Forsaken." The next morning, Arya went to Selene for answers. "This mark is a sign of destiny," Selena explained, her voice grave. "You carry the blood of the Moonbloods, and with it, the power to either break the curse or unleash it." Arya swallowed. "How do I control it? How do I protect the pack?" Selene's eyes softened. "That is your journey. But know this. The Forsaken will come for you. They will try to claim what you carry." Arya's heart thundered. "Then I won't let them." As days passed, the mark pulsed with power, awakening ancient magic within her. Kyle trained by her side, teaching her to harness the energy without losing herself. But the threat of the Forsaken loomed, closer. Shadowy figures slipped through the forest edges, eyes gleaming with dark intent. One night, a raid struck the pack's outer camp. The attackers wore the same mark as Arya, the Forsaken symbol, and fought with ruthless precision. Arya and Kale led the defense, their bond stronger than ever. But when the battle ended, one attacker was captured. A woman with fierce eyes and a voice like ice. "I am Mira," she said, staring at Arya. "You carry the mark, but you don't understand its power. Join us, or be destroyed." Arya stood firm. "I will never join those who seek to destroy my pack." Mira's smile was cold. "Then you are already lost." As Mira was taken to the pack's holding cells, Arya realized the fight was no longer just for survival. It was for the soul of the Moonblood legacy itself. And with the mark burning on her skin, her destiny was more entwined with the curse than ever before. The weight of the mark on her palm was a constant reminder that Arya's life had irrevocably changed. It glowed faintly beneath her skin, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. The power it carried was intoxicating, but dangerous. She had learned from Selene that this mark was a symbol of destiny, an inheritance from the Moonblood ancestors, but also a beacon for enemies. Chaol was a quiet presence by her side during these restless days. Every time the mark flared, his concern deepened, though he never said as much. Instead, he offered patience and strength. He was training her tirelessly, teaching her to harness the strange energy without losing control. But even as Arya learned to wield it, the looming threat of the Forsaken haunted their every step. That evening, the den was quieter than usual. The pack was wary after the raid, and Arya could feel eyes on her, some filled with hope, others with doubt. The tension was palpable. Kyle stood beside her as the pack gathered for their nightly council. His hand found hers, steady and warm. "We need to prepare," Kyle said, addressing the group. "The Forsaken are no longer shadows. They've struck, directly, and it won't be the last time." Darian stepped forward, guilt still etched in his face. "I know I've made mistakes, but I'll do whatever it takes to protect this pack." Arya nodded, offering him a small, encouraging smile. "We're stronger together. We can't let the past tear us apart." After the meeting, Arya found herself alone near the edge of the forest, the moonlight shimmering through the leaves. The mark burned softly beneath her skin, and she closed her eyes, trying to center herself. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence. "You carry the blood of the Moonbloods," it whispered. Arya spun around, heart pounding. Standing in the shadows was a figure she hadn't seen before. Tall, cloaked in dark fabric, eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. "Who are you?" Arya demanded, stepping back cautiously. The figure lowered their hood, revealing a woman with striking silver hair and sharp features. "I am Silra, a guardian of the Moonblood legacy." Arya's breath caught. "A guardian? Why do you hide? In the shadows?" Silra's gaze softened. "Because the enemy lurks everywhere. I've come to guide you, to help you control the power you now bear." Silra stepped closer, her voice calm but urgent. "The mark on your skin is both a blessing and a curse. It connects you to the ancient magic of our ancestors, but it also marks you as the key to breaking, or unleashing, the old curse." Arya swallowed hard. "How do I control it? How do I make sure it doesn't destroy everything?" Silra's eyes glittered with wisdom. "Through blood and bonds. The magic responds to the strength of your heart and the loyalty of those who stand with you. You must forge your bond deeper with Chaol and with your pack, and above all, trust in yourself." The days that followed were a whirlwind of training and preparation. Arya pushed herself harder than ever, learning to channel the power in her veins without letting it consume her. Chaol's presence was a steady anchor through it all. His belief in her unwavering, his love a shield against the darkness threatening to engulf her. Yet the threat of the Forsaken grew more urgent. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Arya received a secret message, a warning scrawled in ancient script. The Forsaken planned to strike at the heart of the pack. "Prepare. Trust no one." The note was unsigned, but Arya knew immediately it was from Silra. That night, Arya and Chaol gathered the pack's fiercest warriors. The air was thick with tension as they prepared for the inevitable battle. Chaol's voice was steady, but fierce. "We fight not just for survival, but for the future of our legacy. The Forsaken want to destroy us, but together we are stronger." Arya nodded, feeling the fire of determination rise within her. "We will protect our home. We will protect each other." The attack came swift and brutal. Shadowy figures emerged from the dark forest, their eyes glowing with malice. They moved with deadly precision, the mark of the Forsaken glowing on their skin. Arya stood shoulder to shoulder with Chaol, her palm burning with the power of the Moonblood magic. She summoned energy into her fists, feeling it surge through her veins. The battle was fierce. Claws raked through the night air, Magic crackled and growls echoed through the trees. Kael fought with primal fury, protecting Arya as she unleashed the ancient magic. Together they formed a fierce bond that repelled the attackers. But amidst the chaos, Arya glimpsed a figure that made her blood run cold. Lena. She stood apart from the fray, her eyes locked on Arya, a cruel smile playing at her lips. "You think you can fight fate?" Lena called out. "The curse is coming, whether you're ready or not." Arya growled, feeling the full weight of the prophecy pressing down on her. "We will fight fate," she shouted back, her voice echoing with power, "because we choose to." As the battle waned, the Forsaken retreated into the shadows. Their threat far from over, Arya's heart pounded with the thrill of survival and the burden of destiny. She looked at Kael, his eyes filled with fierce pride and love. "We survived this night," he said, pulling her close. "But the war is just beginning," Arya whispered. That night, as the pack settled and the fires burned low, Arya knew one thing for certain. Her path was bound by blood and bonds, and only by embracing both could she hope to break the curse and save those she loved. The dawn came slow and heavy after the battle, its pale light casting long shadows across the forest floor. Arya woke to the scent of smoke and damp earth, her body aching from the fight, but her mind restless. Kael was already up, sitting by the fire outside their den, sharpening his dagger. His usual stoic calm was tempered by a quiet tension that made Arya's heart tighten. "You barely slept," she said softly, sitting beside him. He gave a small, tired smile. "The pack is safe, for now, but the Forsaken won't stop. I'm worried about what's coming." Arya nodded, feeling the weight of his words. The attack had been only a taste of the war looming ahead. The morning council was somber. The warriors gathered, nursing wounds and sharing whispered fears. Darian stood among them, his expression a mixture of guilt and resolve. "We need answers," Arya said, standing before the pack. "The Forsaken are after the Moonblood legacy, and they know about the mark. We must uncover their plans. And fast." Selene stepped forward, her eyes shadowed with worry. "The curse is tied to our past, to a betrayal long buried. If we understand that history, we might find a way to stop the Forsaken." Arya glanced at Kael. "Then we need to dig into the past. I want to know everything about the curse, the Forsaken, and the Moonblood legacy." That afternoon, Arya and Kael sought out Selene in the sacred grove. The ancient trees whispered secrets as the wind stirred their leaves, and the air was thick with magic. Selene guided them to a circle of stones etched with glowing runes. "These stones hold the memories of our ancestors," Selene explained. "Place your hands here, and you will see what they saw." Arya hesitated, then placed her hands on the cool stone. A rush of images flooded her mind: battles, betrayals, ancient rites, and the formation of the Moonblood Pact. She saw a pack torn apart by jealousy and greed, a powerful shifter named Aera who had cast the curse to protect her people from destruction. Kael placed his hands beside hers, and they shared the vision. "The Forsaken were once part of our pack," Huki, Selene said quietly, "but they rejected the balance we sought between magic and order. Aera's curse was meant to bind their power and keep the pack safe, but it also trapped us all in a cycle of pain." Arya's heart ached with the weight of the truth. "So the curse is both punishment and protection." "Yes," Selene said, "but the seal is weakening. The Forsaken want to shatter it and claim the power for themselves, even if it means destroying everything." As Arya withdrew her hands from the stones, a sudden noise startled them. From the shadows emerged Mira, the Forsaken prisoner. Her eyes gleamed with defiance. "You think you understand the curse? You don't know what true power is," Selene's voice hardened. You'll have no power here, Mira. You'll answer for your crimes. Mira laughed, a cold, bitter sound. You can lock me away, but I'll never stop fighting. The Forsaken will rise, and when they do, your precious legacy will fall. Arya stepped forward. We'll be ready. That night, Arya couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. The mark on her palm pulsed faintly, and a whisper brushed through her mind. Seek the one who bears the silver wolf. She woke with a start, breath ragged. Kyle was already awake, sensing her unrest. What is it? He asked. Arya hesitated. I don't know, but I think there's someone important, someone tied to the curse and the Forsaken. Kale's eyes darkened. Then we find them, before the Forsaken do. The next day, Arya and Kale set out beyond the borders of the Pax territory. The forest grew denser and darker, and every snap of a twig made their senses sharpen. After hours of travel, they reached a hidden cave marked by ancient symbols. This must be it, Arya whispered. Inside, the cave was cool and silent, the walls glowing with faint silver light. At the center lay a figure, cloaked and still. As they approached, the figure stirred and slowly pulled back their hood, revealing silver hair and striking eyes. I am Silra, she said softly. You seek answers. Silra told them her story. A guardian who had once fought alongside the Moonblood ancestors, cursed to guard the secret of the Silver Wolf, a key figure prophesied to break the curse. The Silver Wolf is not just a symbol, Silra explained. It is a being of pure magic and power, destined to heal or destroy. And I believe you, Arya, carry its blood. Arya's mind reeled. Me? But how? Silra's eyes softened. Because your mother was of the Silver Wolf lineage. She hid you to protect you from the Forsaken. As they spoke, the cave walls shimmered, revealing visions of Arya's mother, a fierce warrior with silver eyes, standing against the Forsaken in a battle that had cost her everything. Kale reached for Arya's hand, grounding her in the present. You're stronger than you know. Arya nodded, feeling a fierce resolve ignite within her. They left the cave with new purpose. The curse was no longer just a threat. It was a legacy to be embraced. And with the Silver Wolf's blood awakening in her veins, Arya knew the fight was far from over. The days that followed their meeting with Silra were a whirlwind of preparation and discovery. Arya could feel the power of the Silver Wolf stirring within her, a fierce energy, ancient and wild, pulsing beneath her skin. Kale stood unwaveringly at her side, his presence a steady anchor. Are you ready? He asked one evening as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold. Arya took a deep breath. I have to be. They returned to the sacred grove where Arya first touched the stones of their ancestors. This time, Silra led the ritual, a ceremony to awaken the Silver Wolf spirit within Arya, the last hope to end the curse. The pack gathered around, their faces illuminated by flickering firelight, eyes full of hope and fear. Silra began the chant, her voice weaving through the night air like a spell. Arya closed her eyes, reaching deep into the well of power that surged within. Her mark glowed, brighter, the Silver Wolf's spirit awakening, roaring to life. Suddenly, a surge of energy exploded from her core, rippling through the grove. Arya felt her senses sharpen beyond human limits. She could hear the heartbeat of the forest, smell the faintest trace of magic, and see with clarity that cut through darkness. Kyle reached for her, anchoring her as the transformation took hold. You're the Silver Wolf, Silra whispered, the one who can break the curse. Arya opened her eyes, now glowing with silver light, and the pack erupted in cheers. But their victory was short-lived. A sudden chill swept the grove as dark figures emerged. From the shadows, the Forsaken had found them. The battle that followed was fierce and desperate. Arya, infused with the Silver Wolf's power, fought with a strength she never knew she possessed. Her claws flashed like silver blades, her howl shaking the very earth. Chaol fought by her side, protecting her as they pushed the Forsaken back. But then a figure stepped forward. The Forsaken leader, tall and imposing, his eyes burning with hatred. "You cannot stop the curse," he snarled. "It will consume you all." Arya met his gaze, her silver eyes blazing. "Not if I have anything to say about it." With a final roar, she unleashed the full power of the Silver Wolf. Light and shadow collided in a blinding explosion, and, when the dust settled, the Forsaken were gone, broken and defeated. The curse, for the first time in centuries, felt like it was weakening. The grove still shimmered from the magic that had been unleashed. The air was thick with the scent of moss, moonlight, and blood. Though the Forsaken were driven back, Arya knew the final blow had not yet been struck. The curse trembled, weakened, but not destroyed. Silra stepped forward, her silver hair shining like a beacon. The curse can only be broken completely with a final rite, one of legacy and sacrifice. Arya glanced at Chaol. What kind of sacrifice? The one who awakened the Silver Wolf must release its power willingly, or the curse will remain. Embedded in your bloodline, Chaol's jaw clenched. No, there must be another way. Arya's heart pounded, but she stood firm. If I can carry it, I can release it. I'm not afraid. Silra led them to the Heartstone, an ancient altar surrounded by wolf statues and glowing runes. The pack stood in a wide circle, their eyes reflecting trust and sorrow. Chaol took Arya's hand. "Whatever happens, I'm with you." She smiled softly. "You've always been." The ceremony began. Runes lit up beneath Arya's feet as she stepped onto the altar. Her mark flared one last time, pulsing with light that blinded the night sky. As she opened her arms, the Silver Wolf's essence surged from her chest, a radiant beast formed of light and mist. It circled the pack once, howling a song of freedom, before dissolving into the wind. A hush fell. Then the mark vanished from Arya's hand. The curse was gone. The pack howled in unison, for freedom, for life, for their alpha. But not all eyes were joyful. In the shadows of the trees, something ancient had awakened. A month had passed since the breaking of the curse. The forest began to heal. Grass grew where blood had soaked the earth, and the howls of celebration echoed freely through the night. Arya's leadership transformed the Moonblood pack. She opened the borders to peaceful alliances, restructured the warrior ranks, and promoted unity between shifters and seers. Chaol stood beside her, not just as her mate, but as her equal, her alpha king. "Your people love you," he said one evening as they stood atop the cliff, overlooking the village. "They love us," she corrected with a smile. "But peace is a fragile thing." A messenger arrived from the northern mountains, breathless, injured, barely clinging to life. "They're coming," he gasped. "The Boneclaw tribe. They seek the silver air." Arya's blood ran cold. "I thought they vanished generations ago." "No," the messenger wheezed. "They waited, and now they march with a god." Chaol's face darkened. "Then war isn't over. It's just begun." The Moonblood pack prepared once again for war, but this time they weren't alone. Allies answered Arya's call: mountain shifters, desert clans, and even witches from the southern isles. They came not for power, but for the queen who had broken a curse and brought hope to a fractured world. In a grand war council, Arya stood before them. "I was born a rejected mate," she began. "I was cursed, hunted, underestimated. But I chose to fight, not just for myself, but for every soul who believed they weren't enough. The crowd stirred, a fire building in their hearts. We face an ancient enemy, but we are not the same broken world they once terrorized. We are stronger, and we will not bow. Swords were raised, claws sharpened, oaths made in blood and ash. That night, under a red moon, Arya shared one final quiet moment with Chaol. "If I fall, you won't," he interrupted, pressing his forehead to hers. "But if I do, promise me you'll protect them." "I'd burn the world for you," he said, "but I'd rebuild it in your name." The battle erupted before dawn. The Boneclaw tribe descended like a plague of shadows, twisted beasts with molten eyes and venomous teeth. At their center was the god they followed, Arvok, the Death Eater, a being of old magic and fury. Arya faced him head-on, flanked by Chaol and Silra. "You wield no mark," Arvok sneered. "You are nothing but a girl in silver skin." I'm everything you fear," she growled, shifting fully into the silver wolf, larger, fiercer than ever before. The battle raged. Magic clashed with steel. Shifters fell and rose again. Chaol tore through the enemy, blood staining his fur. Silra held the line with blazing runes, and Arya. She fought like the prophecy itself. She hurled Arvok into the mountains, her body burning with every step. He struck her down once. She rose. Twice. She rose again. "You were never meant to win." Arvok spat, staggering. Arya's eyes glowed silver white. "I was never meant to bow." With a final roar, she unleashed the last breath of the silver wolf within her, not as a curse, but as a legacy. Light surged from her soul, engulfing Arvok and every shadow he'd birthed. When the dust settled, the Boneclaw were gone, and Arya still stood. Seasons passed. The scars of war faded into stories and legends. Arya, the Silver Queen, ruled not with fear, but with love, strength, and vision. Chaol remained her fiercest ally, and together they led a united realm of shifters, seers, and wolves. Their firstborn, daughter, with eyes like stormlight and a mark like a moon, would one day carry the legacy forward, not a curse, but a crown. The Alpha's rejected mate had become the world's most beloved queen, and the howl of the silver wolf would echo in the hearts of all for generations to come.